Hello, everyone out there in Cyberland. This is Lady D, Lady Diane, and I'm here to give you a word of inspiration by something I'm reading, something I like to read every day to keep myself encouraged. So I want to share with you. And so the title today is The Simplest Recipe, November 10th. And we're coming out of Psalms chapter 40, verse 6. And it reads, Sacrifice and offering you do not desire, nor have you delight in them. You have given me the capacity to hear and obey. But burnt offerings and sin offering, which you do not require. Amen. So God delights in our obedience. Naturally, it doesn't do God any good to instruct us if we aren't going to listen and obey. You ever had an opportunity, even with your children or someone who maybe you're supervising or leading, when you begin to share something with them and you begin to instruct them and you give them things, but they just don't want to obey? So this is what God is saying. He said, I was moved by a story from a pastor of a very large church who spoke at a pastor's conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hundreds of pastors came from all over the nation to hear this man tell what he did to build his church. He told them simply, I pray and I obey. I pray and I obey. And some of you may be saying, is it really just that simple to pray and obey? So one of the ministers who attended this meeting expressed to me his disappointments in the pastor's message. He said, I spent all that money, went all that distance to hear this world-renowned leader tell me how his ministry grew to the point it is. For 3 hours, in various ways, he said the same thing. I pray, I obey. I pray, I obey. I pray, I obey. I pray, I obey. I kept thinking, surely there's something else. Looking back over more than 3 decades of walking with God, I will have to agree that if I put into words the simplest explanation for the success I have enjoyed, I too have learned to pray, hear from God, and then to do what God tells me to do to the best of my ability. Over the years, I have been seeking God about the call on my life and pressing forward in what I feel He has told me to do. The essence of it all is that I try doing things my way and experience only defeat and frustration. Now, how many of you out there can relate to that? When you try to do things your way, you seem to miss the mark, or you seem to trip over or yourself, or seem to appear as though, wow, why do I keep repeating the same thing? I want to let you know, most likely you are trying to do it your way and not God's way. So let's continue reading. So it took a few years, but I finally learned to pray and obey. I want each one of you to say those words. Pray and obey. Pray and obey. Seems real simple, doesn't it? Okay. It has not always been popular with everyone else, but I have prayed, I have obeyed, and it has worked. God's plan is not hard. We make it hard. Amen. So this is an awesome devotion for today that I'm reading and sharing with you. And it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. It's a simple recipe that God gives to each and every one of us, and that is to pray and obey. God does not lead us in the midst of darkness without that light shining in the midst to direct our path. And I believe for many of us, if we open up our eyes and we focus on what God is really trying to say to us, we will see that it is a simple recipe, and that is to obey. We hear from God. But the questions that we must ask ourselves today is, are we obeying God? He says, you say you love me, then you keep my commandments. And I know it's hard because I tell people all the time, listen, God saved me, but he did not save my flesh. But what he does do, he gives us his word. And he gives us his word in order to read and to put that word in us. And it says, thy word have I hidden in my heart that I might not sin against you. And then even though some of us do, we fall short sometime. That's okay. Get back up again. That's what Donnie McClurkin, he shared in his song. We fall down, but we get up. We fall down. How many of you have ever experienced falling down? You know, when a child would ride a bicycle, every now and then the parent be trying to help them and hold them up and guide and direct them. But every now and then that child seemed to fall down. But we get back up again. Amen. So my message to you on this day is this. Listen to God in his word as he's speaking through his word, whether it's through the preach word or through prayer or whatever it means. Maybe he's put someone in your life that's there to inspire you, to encourage you. Don't turn deaf ear, but listen. And not only listen, but obey. This is Lady Diane. You have a wonderful time in this great, wonderful, blessed day. The sun is shining. And so are you. God bless you.